Hey guys, what's up? Nick here once again. It's my full video review on the PM461 USB microphone by Maono. So let's get right into it. Now I want to start this review with a couple things. The first thing is I was given this to review for free from Maono, but no, that does not alter my decisions or my points at all in this review. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. What I feel is great, what I feel could be worked on or improved. And yeah, if it's worth it to go out and purchase. If you do want to end up purchasing by the end of the video, I will have a link in the description. It is not an affiliate link by any means. I'm not getting any revenue from it. It's strictly just to their website if you want to go check it out for yourself. The second thing, this entire review is being recorded with the microphone itself, as you can see right here. So if you want to feel for how it sounds or how it picks up audio, this is it. I'm not doing any post-processing. I'm not editing my voice in any way, shape, or form. The only thing I did was I raised the volume levels a little bit within OBS, is what I'm using to record this with. However, though, I'm not going to change anything after the fact. So what you're hearing is what you're going to get just by taking it out of the box, plugging it in, and here you go. So at the time of this recording and testing, I haven't been actually given the link to their website to purchase this device, because I don't believe it's actually for sale as of right now, this recording date. But by the time this video goes live or you'll be seeing it, it should be available, and I'll have the link below. That being said, I don't know what this is going to cost. They do have a model that's a step below this one. It looks pretty much the exact same on their website. It just doesn't have the RGB effects. As you can see, it'll change throughout the video. And that one's going for like 40 bucks, I think 40 to 50 bucks. So I'm assuming this is probably going to be in the $50 to $60 range. Again, this is just hypothetical. I don't know exactly what the price will be. Once it comes out, I'll have the price in the description with the link and all that. That being said, though, this is definitely a less than $100 microphone. So I wouldn't even say this is really trying to compete with microphones like the Blue Yeti, for instance. Even though the Blue Yeti has different models, they have the Nano and then the X, and the X is like their really expensive, really great model. The Blue Yeti is just like their medium model or mid tier, and then they have the Nano, which is their low tier. I think even the Nano goes for about $100 nowadays. So if I were to compare this to any of the higher end models or the really popular USB microphones, the Blue Yeti Nano would be the one that I would compare this one to the most. However, I will say, for what you get for, again, I don't know the exact price, but I know it's gonna be less than $100. For less than $100, you get a full package here. You get the stand, which is really honestly great. It's a very nice hard metal stand. It will not fall over or tip over by any means. You will have to physically push it over for it to fall over. You get a nice shock mount. You get a really, honestly, a really cool windscreen. I like the design of this. You can move it around the base as you like. And then you get a really well-built, high-quality microphone. I love the build design of this thing. It is mostly plastic, but it does have a metal grill, which I like. It's got a metal band around the middle of it here. You do have a gain knob in the middle as well, so on the fly, you can adjust your gain settings. I do wish it had a built-in mute button or something along those lines, but you can't get it all here. Not all the bells and whistles will be given to you for less than $100. But for just design in general, I think they did a really good job, and it looks really good. I mean, if you were to set this up on a mic stand, instead of using the included stand here, like if you were to put it on an arm stand, like I have my SM7B here, it would look really good. You wouldn't really notice a difference between this and a lower tier XLR microphone like the AT2020 from Audio-Technica. So yeah, in terms of design, I think they knocked it out of the park here. Now, as I stated before, there isn't all the bells and whistles here. There isn't a headphone jack, which is kind of a bummer, so you can't actually hear yourself through the microphone when you're listening to it, like the Blue Yeti does, which is a really cool and honestly needed feature these days. So with my SM7B, I have an audio converter here, or mixer, and this, I can actually listen to my voice live through it to know how loud I'm being if I need to adjust my gain settings, where sadly with this one, you're pretty much going to have to do a lot of post-processing to make sure it sounds right. You're gonna have to do a quick recording beforehand, make sure your levels are correct and all that, you're not blowing out your gain. And that's kind of a bummer. I do wish they would have included some type of headphone jack so you could plug it in and listen to yourself live while you're recording. Yes, there is programs out there where you can hear yourself through the program to hear your voice, but most of the time there's a slight delay, and it will really mess with your head when you're trying to do monologues or recordings. So definitely keep that in mind. There is no direct monitoring with this microphone. And as I stated before, there isn't a mute switch either. So there is a gain switch right in the front, which you can lower the gain or raise the gain, which is cool to do that right on the fly. But in my opinion, it's kind of unnecessary or unneeded if you can't hear yourself live anyway. Yes, most programs with recordings do have a visual indicator to show, yes, I am peaking or I'm not peaking, so that will, work for the gain adjustment. But at that point, if you're already looking at a visual indicator, you might as well just use the program to adjust your gain anyway, right? So again, I see what they're going with here with adding the gain volume knob in the front, but it's not really needed if there's no way to actually listen to yourself live to see how high or low you should have the gain in the first place. And then not having the mute switch, it's not the end of the world, but it is kind of a bummer, especially most people who will be buying this device will probably using it for gaming, as well as commentary videos or just maybe some recordings here and there. And to have a mute switch is actually really nice. It's nice to have that. So just a quick little boop and it mutes and you're good for a little bit and you come back to it, unmute, good to go. So again, kind of a bummer it's missing some of these key features, but if you're like me, you don't really use that stuff very often anyway. You have a microphone, you plug it in and you record with it and you're good to go, and you do most stuff in post-processing anyway. This shouldn't be a problem. But again, this is definitely something you should look into or know about before making a purchase. And looking at the packaging for when you unbox it, I do like the minimal design they have with all other packages from Maono. I like the design of it, I like the colors. And it does give you everything you need to know about what you're getting in this microphone, that it comes with a shock mount, has the mic gain knob, a heavy bass for stabilization, and they are not lying there, it's a very heavy bass, and then a professional sound chipset. And then if you go to the back, it does give you information about the specific specifications on what comes in the microphone. It has a frequency response of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, a sensitivity of negative 13.5 decibels, a maximum SPL of 93.5 decibels, and an SNN ratio of 60 decibel with a USB-A to B cable. Now, I was kind of disappointed it wasn't a USB-C input. It is a proprietary, which is kind of interesting, which is that USB-B connector. So if the cable were to break or if it's not long enough for you, it's going to be a little tricky to find one that will be the length that you need. So that's kind of a bummer. I wish it was USB-C. So again, Maono, if you were going back to the drawing board, or even if you need to raise it by $5 to add a USB-C, I think people, including myself, would pay that extra $5 for the convenience of a USB-C, which everybody has. And I didn't explain this at the beginning because I honestly can't say this word correctly. I'm probably going to say it wrong. It is a cardioid pattern, so it's only a one directional. So it's not going to record from the back or the top or the sides. It's only going to record from the front, which for most people is not a problem. But this will not work in situations if you have it like in the middle of a table and you're trying to do like an interview with somebody. It's only going to record who's in front. So definitely keep that in mind if you think, because it does kind of look like it's a 360-degree mic from the design of the grill at least. It looks like, oh, I can record from this side, doesn't matter. But no, it's only a one-sided recording, so just, again, keep those in mind. It is compatible with Windows and Mac, which is pretty awesome, and it literally is as easy as connect and go, like it says right in the box. There's no software you have to download, but one little thing I will say with that, I kind of wish it did have a software that was included. Main reason is because it raves about this RGB effect, which, yeah, it's pretty. It looks really cool. And as you can see, it slowly fades to the different colors and it looks unique, right? I love the look of the RGB, but I wish you could change it to a color of your liking or do special effects. Like maybe have it react to your voice, like you talk higher or lower and it will go brighter or less bright depending on how loud you are, right? Stuff like that would have been really cool to see, and who knows, they could implement that in the future. But as of right now, there's no software at all that you can download for the Maono microphone, and there's nothing that I could find that lets you actually edit the RGB effects. But that's pretty much it for the box and the design. So if I were to give a overall rating for the design itself, I would have to give it a B. Main reason is because I do think it has a really great build quality. It's made out of really good materials, high quality materials. I love the look of it. I think it looks futuristic, but not too much. And it still looks classic, like together. I don't know how to explain it really, but I love the look of it. But the main thing I will say is it is missing, again, those key features that I stated before that every single USB microphone should come with, at least in the low to mid-range market. So if it did have those missing features implemented with it, I think this would easily be an A+ design. But yeah, so B for the overall design. Now, before we get into the sound of the microphone, which you've been hearing this entire review anyway, I want to go over a few different things with it. How does it deal with plosives? So the like loud P sounds that your voice makes or when air pushes out of your lips. What's the difference with getting really close to the microphone or being far away? And with the sound of like your desk or if you touch the microphone, how much does it really pick up? And then white noise, which is essentially if I'm not talking, there's no noise in the room, how much background noise does it really pick up? Is it really good for situations like recording for commentaries or for audiobooks or something like that, right? So first things first, plosives. Peter picked some pickled peppers. Peter picked some pickled peppers. And this is with the wind guard. I'm going to remove it now, which is really cool. It literally just pops up. It's a super, super cool design. I love the wind guard. So without wind guard. Peter picked some pickled peppers. Peter picked some pickled peppers. So now we're going to talk about the proximity. So what does it sound better if you're closer to it, farther away, medium, all the above? From my experience so far, I'd say medium length, maybe about like 6 inches from the microphone is the best for the best sound quality from it. If you're too close, it does peak pretty badly, even if you have the gain pretty low. And then if you're too far away, it doesn't really pick you up at all. Too much background noise, right? So it's not like the SM7B, which is my main microphone, where you have to be pretty damn close to it to pick you up. But the benefit of that, it doesn't pick up really any background noise whatsoever. With that further ado, again, this is medium. And now we're pretty close to the microphone. This, again, is if you had it on like an arm stand and you wanted it close to you for like, I don't know, a podcast situation. This is how it would sound. And now we're a good 1.5 feet away from the microphone. This is how it sounds if you're in an open room or you're trying to record, I don't know, far away from something. This is what it would sound like. So now we're going to go into, I don't really know what you would call this, the movement sound test. It's really just if you're tapping on your desk, how easy does it pick up your keyboard? Because I know a lot of people will probably be gaming when using this. So with that being said, let's do the keyboard test. So this is on my desk. It's right in front of my keyboard. So this is probably what most people will be using because they probably won't want to shovel up the money for an arm stand on top of this microphone. They're going to be using the one that comes with. So take that with a grain of salt, but here we go. Dooba-dubbity, I'm typing on my keyboard. And as for a frame of reference, I do not have a clicky keyboard at all. They're cherry reds switches, silent switches at that, so they're supposed to be pretty quiet. And mostly they are, but this, again, the microphone may have picked it up more than it actually is in real life. And now we're going to tap on the desk a little bit. Just, obviously this is extreme, but, you know, just if somebody were tapping on your desk, how much does it pick up? Now I'm going to tap on the arm stand itself. Moving up to the microphone. Tapping on the windscreen and the bass. I'm actually curious to see what this sounds like myself. So that is like the I don't even know, the shockwave sound test. I don't know. Anyway, the last thing we're gonna go into is the white noise sound test. So I'm gonna shut up, be completely silent. I'm not gonna raise the volume or anything. This is probably only gonna be effective for you if you have headphones on. So make sure to crank up the volume and here we go. All right, you can turn your volume down again back to normal. Now, the main reason I do the sound test is for the room is because a lot of people probably don't have a nice isolated environment like I do. My room is pretty padded, as you can see. I have a lot of soundproofing in this room, so not much echoing. So if you're in a noisy environment, if you have a lot of family members, you have kids, you have cars driving by a lot, it will pick up a lot of background noise because, again, I'm in a pretty controlled environment. You can be the judge of that, how much noise it picked up. You can probably maybe even hear my wife laughing in the other room. She's playing with some friends. So that being said, I'm curious to see in the results here because I haven't even heard it myself, but that was the sound test, or the room sound test. Alrighty, and moving into the last test, or the last section of the review, and the most important in my opinion, how does it sound? What is the sound quality like? For a USB microphone, I'm gonna easily give this at least a B+. It's great. In all honesty, it sounds really good for a USB microphone. I've been spoiled by using XLR microphones for the past 10 years and absolutely love them. I personally would never go back to a USB microphone, not at least until like the software is there to make them sound better than XLR microphones. But at the moment, that's just not a reality. So if I were to rate this with other USB microphones on the market, this is definitely up there, especially for its price point. Again, I don't know the exact price, but I know it's gonna be less than $100. So for less than $100 for what you're getting in the box, I think its sound quality is its best feature by far. It's a little bit lacking in the low department, so if you do have a deeper voice, a lower octave voice, this isn't going to accentuate you as well as like an SM7B would, of course, but that's a $400 microphone versus, less than $100. So take that with a grain of salt. The other thing too, it does very well accentuate the high notes or the mids and highs. So if you have a higher pitch voice, honestly, this might sound really good for you versus somebody with a lower voice. I'm kind of in the mid range. Sometimes I'm higher pitch, sometimes I'm lower pitch. It really just fluctuates. It's random. So for me, I don't think it does the best in accentuating my voice in the best way possible versus like an SM7B does. But again, that's kind of an unfair comparison because one's an XLR, one's on a USB mic. If I were to compare this to other USB mics on the market, it's pretty close to what they produce as well. Even the Blue Yetis are really notorious for not really accentuating that lower frequency. They're very well for the higher frequencies or the medium. So this definitely fits right in line with Blue Yetis. I think if you're looking at, should I go with the Blue Yeti or should I go with the Maono? Personally, I would choose this. And again, this is in no way, shape, or form influenced because they sent it to me for free. If this was crap and it sounded like crap and it worked like crap, or if I had any big issues with it whatsoever, I would say stay away from it. It's not worth your purchase. But in my personal experience, I've owned and used every single model of Blue Yeti, and now I've used this guy. I like this a lot more. And I think also the design. I've never been a huge fan of the Blue Yetis, to be personally honest with you. But with the Maono, I like the look of these. It's sleek. I like the cylinder shape. I like that it's small. It's not really in your face intrusive, and it comes with its own shock mount. And I really like the design of the windscreen as well. It's not just a cheap little, like, what do you call those? You clip it on. It's got the giant, diaphragm. I hate those things. They look so ugly. And this looks great. It looks like you could see this in a streamer's room. So with all that being said, those are my thoughts and opinions on the Maono PM461 series microphone. Definitely go check it out in the description below. Again, I'll hopefully update that as soon as we get a price for you. And it's going to be less than $100 for sure. I like the design of it. I love the look of it. I love the sound of it, but it's just missing a couple key features that I really think in this price range it should have. And I wish you could edit the RGB effects. But with all that being said, what are you guys' thoughts on it? After watching this video, have I persuaded you to go check it out and buy it yourself, or have I made you kind of stray away from it? Let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. But with that being said, thank you, Maono, again for letting me test out your device for this video. And I hope you guys have a lovely day. Leave a like, share, support. As always, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And we'll hopefully see you in the next one. Peace out.